Welcome, everybody, to Dine with the Divine. As always, I'm your host, Ashley, and today we'll be talking about the magical, the mystical, and everything in between. Today, we're going to be talking about old tattoos, and we will be talking also about the Norse goddess, Freya. So, today we have a fantastic guest. As usual, we always have good guests. We have Carly. Carly, the creative force behind Rosemary Inc., is a hand-poke tattoo artist with a passion for bringing unique and meaningful designs to life. Rosemary Inc. specializes in intuitive tattooing, permanent makeup, flash sales, and custom work. She's currently operating inside of Uppercut Salon in Goshen, New York, by appointment only. Carly's goal is to provide a safe, personal, and intimate tattooing experience where every client is supported in revealing their most authentic self. She firmly believes that tattoos are sacred tools capable of awakening inner confidence and facilitating a deeper connection to self-expression through wearable art. Carly, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so first thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into... Okay, we'll start with this. How did you get into tattooing?
Sure. So I got into tattooing just in college. I did my first one on a friend about 8 years ago, and it was just like a afternoon of, okay, what do you want to do? Let's go to AC Moore. And we just got some India ink and some sewing needles and did a really unsafe DIY tattoo.
I was like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah. I would not recommend, but that's how I kind of got into it. It came out pretty good. So more friends would ask me for them, and I just like little by little I got into doing it, and I ended up doing my capstone thesis for college on tattooing, and I got so immersed in it, and I like wanted to know everything about it, and I was so interested in it, and I was like, I need to know how to do this, and I just kept going with it, and it was always something I just did on the side for a very long time.
Wow. So, okay, so you did your capstone. What did you talk about in your thesis when you wrote it about tattooing?
It was all about the stigma of tattooing in our Western culture. The very, I'm not 100% well versed in everything, but I learned a lot about like, the Japanese culture of tattooing and like all of the ups and downs of how that's been accepted. I learned a lot about like Polynesian tattooing, and the paper was mostly focused on the appropriation of tattoos in Western culture, and then I brought that back into like jailhouse tattooing, Sailor Jerry tattooing, American traditional, like all of that, like how it came here, the ups and downs of how culture has perceived tattoos. That was the whole thesis of the paper. Actually reread that paper, and it's not a very good paper. But the stuff that I learned was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting, and I'm sure you worked really hard on it, so it's okay. Yeah.
Dude, I don't recommend going back and reading college work. It's just, yeah.
I know. I read recently, that's so funny, and it's not even college, it's worse. It was like we had to write a senior research paper on somebody, and I wrote mine on Haile Selassie, the like last real emperor of Ethiopia, and I was like, this is really bad. I got like an 86 on it, so like I guess for high school it was fine. I was like, I feel like this paper is not well written.
Yeah, and that's how I felt reading it. I was like, God damn, like what a cool topic, but this could have been written so much better.
That's what I thought too. I was like, Haile Selassie is like a fascinating figure, but I was like, I could have done him better justice than this paper. You could tell this is not scholarly. This was a 17-year-old girl who was like, I gotta finish this paper. Yeah. Oh God. I love that. Okay, so you do these ritual tattoos, which are really cool. So what is your process for doing that?
Sure. So when I started tattooing, the whole thing of people would always say they wanted a tattoo, but they don't know what they want, or they'll have a million ideas and you don't know where to start. So the idea with the ritual tattoo is it's supposed to be if you have a very loose idea or like you want a certain tattoo on a certain part of your body, like that physically just feels like where you need a piece of art. The ritual tattoo is supposed to be a little bit of a catalyst of like, okay, here's a starting point. Here's My cat just walked in front of him. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Hello, cat.
Oh my goodness.
This is not the first time a cat has just come in an interview. I welcome everybody's pets. Please come and say hello. Yeah, it's fine.
She's a nosy bones. I apologize.
Just me too. So, girl, it's fine.
But the idea is somebody can come to me with a very brief idea, and then I take a look at it, and then I'll do a full 1.5-hour card pull, just based on an intention or a question that they have. Usually it's just like really broad questions, and I'll try to narrow it down to get like an idea of what their energy is right now, what they need, something they need to bring in. If they're facing a problem or they need some kind of reminder on themselves, I'll pull from the iconography on the cards and try to create some sort of tattoo specifically for them.
Wow. I love that. I'm obsessed. Okay. I sound like such a, I don't know, TikTok girl. I'm like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. So, but that's really cool. I love that. First of all, that must also take, do you find first of all, that says a lot about you. Because people have to really trust you. You know what I mean?
Thing. Yeah. It's well received. I don't think I've ever worked with a client that like wasn't all in, which is like I'm so thankful for. Yeah. But yeah, it is a lot of trust. And it's scary because sometimes I'll do a drawing or like I'll do a reading and I'm like, this is not hitting for me at all. Like they're going to resonate with this. And then I'll send it and then they'll send me like, this is exactly what I've been going through. How did you know all this? I'm like, yep, that's because Spirit took care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. Big ups for Spirit. They're always coming in clutch. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So the process of doing like the hand poke tattoos. So how exactly do you do it? Is it like, okay, I know it sounds stupid, but like you literally just poke somebody with the ink?
Yeah. So the way I do it is more of a Western version of hand poke tattooing. It's very DIY. It's like closer to a jailhouse tattoo than anything else. So I'm using the same needles that would go in like an old school rotary machine. So that just means it's a needle on a bar. So I use that. I literally tape it to a popsicle stick for some leverage. And then I'm going and like individually poking little dots to eventually create line work and like shading and that sort of thing.
Wow. Oh my. Okay. I've seen like I think, I'm sorry if this is the wrong country. I'm pretty sure it's the Philippines. I read an article about one of the last women who does it in this specific mountainous area of the Philippines. Yeah, and she used like a little hammer, almost like a little baby hammer.
Yeah. There's different tools. They're like the first ones are made of like bones and obsidian and that sort of thing. And like, some cultures, like the Japanese Yorizumi, it's this big long pole and they like push it into the skin, literally hammer that woman in the Philippines. Yeah, there's a couple different methods for it.
Fascinating. Wow. Okay, this makes sense because I always wondered that too. Like, how did people do tattoos before machines? So this is probably how they did it, right?
Yeah. By hand.
Oh, wow. Okay. Does it take, and I'm just asking very specific questions now because I'm curious. Does it take longer than a not traditional, but with a machine?
Yeah, I would say yes. It's definitely like a patience thing. I'm not going to get as much coverage as somebody with an electric tattoo machine.
Yeah.
It's just not physically possible for me. I think the average like puncture per second is like 50 punctures on a tattoo machine, or if I'm doing it by hand, it's like 3 or 4 punctures. So yeah, it does take longer. The small ones, my average tattoo length for the smaller stuff, I'm in the studio for maybe like 20 to 40 minutes a session. Like, it's not long, but it's definitely longer than the machine.
Got it. Ooh, that's so cool. I also love, like, I was looking at your website and you're like, do these like silent sessions. Yeah. Okay. This is like important because like, because it's not like, I have several tattoos and I have never been tattooed by, that's a lie. Most of the tattoos I have were by people who I was like, ooh, I love this person's vibe. Like, it's cool. And like, I have one tattoo that I randomly got like on a whim one day because my friend was like, I'm going to get a tattoo. I was like, okay, me too. So I had wanted this tattoo. And then it was like the most like stereotypical like biker tattoo guy doing my tattoo, and I just hated his vibe, and he kept asking me stupid questions, and I was like, please stop talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, my dude, I don't want to talk to you. You're weird. He smelled funny. And I was like, I know. I was like, I feel like this is all a bad idea, but tattoo is fine. And I'm happy that I have it because it's something I wanted for a long time. And it was very simple. But like, I was like, oh, she's a silent session. That's important to talk to your. Also, again, sorry, quick also side note. I got a tattoo by this other guy. And I'm like, I gotta stop having guys do my tattoos. But like, I was like, I've never had a bad experience with a woman doing my tattoo. But guys is always like 50-50. I don't know. But not to shit on men. Sorry, I'm not trying to do that today. I'm just like, he was super nice and like we were cool. He was super cool. But he was playing like pirate metal the whole time.
Ooh. Yeah.
It was so weird. He's like, do you mind if I put on some music? I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know. And plus, like, he's sitting here doing it. So I'm like, he's working. I don't want to be an asshole. I'm like, no, you have to sit here in silence with me. Like, so I was like, yeah, okay, you can put on whatever music. And it was like, just like, if you've been on TikTok and you heard like, yo ho, oh, that's what it was. And I was like,
man.
And meanwhile, he's doing this tattoo on my ankle, which is the most painful tattoo I have. And I'm like, about to cry. I don't like tattoos don't bother me that much, but I have one on my ankle and one on my foot that hurt like a bitch. So yeah. So I'm like on the brink of tears and I'm sweating. And now all I hear is like, I'm just like, oh my God. This is so much right now. I was like, this is sensory overload. I think I'm gonna have a panic attack.
It's all compounded with, like, yeah, you walk in and get a tattoo and you're signing these waivers and like you're nervous until they start. So like it's like, for me it's like lab coat syndrome, where like you go to the doctor and you just like yes and everything because you like, get out of there. And that's why I offer the silent sessions, because I've been there. I've just I just want to be done.
Yeah. And some people, because it's like getting a tattoo is varying levels of pain for everybody, feels different. But it is something that it's not comfortable. And some people need to go to that place inside them where they can handle it. And that's totally normal and fine. So some people are like, they don't want someone to talk to them. And the last tattoo I got was somebody, a girl that I actually knew who's super awesome and very talented. And she asked me too, she's, oh, I'll talk to you, but like, don't worry, I won't bother you the whole time. I was like, no. Like, and then I felt bad, but she's like, no, I don't want to be one of those. She's like, and it was a long tattoo. It was like 4 hours I was getting this tattoo. She's like, I don't want to drive you nuts. So if you need me to shut up, just be like, hey, shut up. I was like, oh, it's fine. So we had like sparse conversation, but like it was all cool. But yeah, I just think it's great that you offer that, and and also it makes people not feel awkward when they don't want to talk.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want anybody to feel like you're already doing something where you're like sending your body into fight or flight, like on purpose. So having the expectation to talk is just like another stress factor that it's just like the option is to eliminate it. I've been there, and I've been in like the loud, noisy tattoo shop with the heavy metal and like the 10 people getting tattooed, and it's a lot. And like for me, I'm in like a very quote DIY space. Like I have a small room in a salon, and I just want it to be as peaceful as possible, because a lot of my clients are highly sensitive people, and they come to me because of that, because they can't do the tattoo shop anymore. So that silent session is just an offering just for those kind of people that need that extra care, because I don't know, not everybody wants that experience in the noisy tattoo shop.
Absolutely. And I think that's so nice that you do that. Like I think it's a very sweet thing to do. Yeah. And then so you also use like Reiki-infused ink, and do you find that those tattoos like feel different at all to you, or like different to your clients, or do they have any experiences with that?
I have only recently started doing this, and I would say I've only had client feedback on a couple. And usually the consensus is just like the pain is mitigated. Like they go into it thinking it's going to be really intense, and then we do the Reiki-infused ink and it's fine. Now that could be like a mixture of a couple factors. Like generally when people sit down with me, they think it's going to hurt a lot. I've heard that sometimes hand poke, depending on like the body location, is a lot less intense. So I think Reiki can facilitate that a little bit more and just make it a little more comfortable.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And is the healing process similar to the regular like machine tattoo?
Yeah, it's comparable. The hand poke method, it's actually, because I'm not dragging or pulling on that top layer of skin, there is a little bit less trauma to the skin. So the healing process, maybe a couple days shorter. I always say 2 weeks just in case, because everybody's skin heals differently. Sterilization, all that, it's exactly the same as a machine tattoo.
Wow. Ooh, fascinating stuff. Ooh, I love that. Now I'm like, I want a hand poke tattoo. Like, I'm figuring out which one do I want next. Okay, I have to slow down. I just got a tattoo, but I'm gonna get one. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So we're gonna go to our dish of the week here. This week's dish of the week, I picked some foods that actually help with your tattoo healing, which I didn't know there was foods you could eat, but apparently there are some. That's cool. Yeah, I was like, what, right? Yeah. So these are 8 foods that you should, that can help you while your tattoo is healing. So the first one is orange or orange juice, vitamin C supplements, or the actual vitamin C from the oranges. It helps with wound healing. Yeah, and then oranges are generally great for skin. I don't know if you want to put your orange on your tattoo. Probably don't do that, because that probably hurt. Yeah.
That feels like it's in like the spicy essential oil realm with like the peppermints and the tea tree.
Yes.
Stay away from those.
Yeah, don't do that. Oh, yeah. Just drink orange juice. It's fine. And eat an orange. That's fine. Yes. Because the vitamin C helps protect cells and fight viral infection. Great. Cool. And then we have chocolate, dark chocolate, especially because it's full of antioxidants, and that helps keep your skin hydrated and supple. You know how like when you get a tattoo, you have to keep it not. I know there's like this dry healing thing I was looking at. That shit looks like it hurts.
Yeah,
like
I've done both. It's some people swear by it. I always say, you know how your body heals. If it looks funky, maybe do something different. Yeah.
I had I never did it before, but the last time I got a tattoo, they put on like I'm a nurse, so we call it a tegaderm, but they call it like a second skin. Yeah. So they put it on, and then they're like, okay, keep it on for, I think I was supposed to keep it on for like at least 7 days. But after day 5, that shit was bothering me. Yeah. I was like, I couldn't take this off. It's driving me crazy.
Tegaderm's popular right now. I offer it, but it's one of those things where I also don't think you should keep, because it's a wound.
Yeah.
I don't think you should keep a wound covered that long.
No.
Like, I understand maybe for ink retention in some cases, but like all that lymph fluid getting trapped in there, it doesn't feel right to me.
Oh no, I didn't like after the first 2 days, the first 2-3 days was fine, but once it started to like dry, it was like itchy and it hurt. So I was like in the shower and I was like, I gotta take this off.
I recommend if it's bothering you, take it off and clean it. If you really want it, you can slap a new one on there.
Yeah.
I always say no more than 2 days, because it's just, I don't know, that's just in my experience, what I find works.
Yeah. And I remember back in the day, it always was like, wash with antibacterial soap and then A&D. Ointment. That's always what I used to do. But now they say it fades it, so don't do that. I don't know.
There's a big A&D controversy now. It's Aquaphor is the thing to do, but
I just know you're supposed to keep it like moisturized.
Yeah, it's just so you want to avoid scabbing as much as possible, and you want to let the top layer of skin heal, because the tattoo settles underneath. Like, your body tries to heal, it gets caught in the capillaries. You just want to make sure as much ink retention stays in that like lower level of the dermis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, tattooing is fun. It's so weird. Like I remember every time I get a tattoo, the whole time you're like, and the last tattoo I got was the longest I've ever had to sit for one, and it hurts. But you're so, it does. It hurts. But then afterwards, you're so I don't know. I think it like releases endorphins or something, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like an adrenaline thing, because you're putting your body in fight or flight, and you're making yourself sit there and do it and endure the pain. It's just like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, you feel good as shit. You're like, damn, I can do anything.
Yeah, it's literally just adrenaline.
And so now I know, because every time after I get tattooed, I'm like, I could do another one. Looks like I feel so great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so then also they say eat some broccoli because there's some vitamin C in there, and but also just eat broccoli anyway. Like, it's good for you. Like, you can put cheese on it if you whatever. You could some salt and pepper. You can eat it. Blueberries, because they also have a lot of antioxidants. Pineapple with the vitamin C. I didn't even know pineapple had vitamin C. That's good. Garlic. I feel like garlic is good for so many things.
Yeah.
So eat some garlic or something. Eat some garlic nuts, maybe. Have some tomatoes, some vitamin C in your tomatoes. And I think tomatoes also have antioxidants. And drink a lot of damn water. Everyone drink water, please. Stop being like, I can't drink water. Yeah, you can. I put lemon in my water. It's fine. You can drink water. You can get the lemon packet. It's the dry one. It's fine. Just drink some water because I realize, like, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm like, how did I get through my 20s? I never drank water. And now if I go, like, a couple days without drinking water, I don't feel good. Like, I feel like shit. My body...
Definitely.
Yeah, I never drank water when I was in my 20s. It was just, like, I don't know. It was tequila and it was, like, whatever else was around. That's what I drank. Yeah. Like, God, I was really suffering, and I didn't even know it. Anyway. Okay, so now we're going to talk, like, not extensively about tattoo history because it's too much. There's too many things in different parts of the world. I can't do it. I started to do a little research. I said, wow, this is a very broad topic, and I was not ready for that. We're just going to do a little bit of history and then we're going to talk about some old-ass tattoos because they're pretty interesting. So, of course, I went on to my good girlfriend Wikipedia, and they were telling me everything. So Here's a little factoids about some tattooing. So, there have been since, I think one of the oldest ones, and we'll talk about Otzi in a minute, but one of the oldest tattoos is probably from around 350, the year 3,500 BCE. People have been getting tattoos for a long ass time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how do they know that? Because they found tattoos on mummified bodies that they found in different parts of the world. There's tattoos on a lot of mummies, and in ancient Egypt. And then there's a lot of ancient tattooing that was always done with the, like, Austronesian people. So people in Australia, Tasmania, different parts of Polynesia. It's like a big thing. And most people now have seen, like, Maori people who have the face tattoos, like, right under their lips, under their mouths, on their chins. That's something that most people have heard of. And it's making a big resurgence in their community because it was banned there for a long time that they weren't allowed to do that. So one of the earliest technologies developed by those people in pre-Austronesia, and this is in Taiwan and southern China, it was probably developed in about 1500 BCE, before a lot of these peoples went out and spread it to the other Austronesian people. And they believe that it also had to do with headhunting. Headhunting is... Oh, this link's not working, so we won't talk about that. So, again, traditional tattooing, which includes facial tattooing, was found among a lot of these different subgroups, including the Taiwanese Aborigines, the Islander, Southeastern Asians, Micronesians, Polynesians, and the Mangalazi people. I never say that right. People from Madagascar. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. People from Madagascar share a lot of the same DNA with people from, like, the Polynesian Islands. And they believe that a lot of them, I think it's like most people in Madagascar share like 66% of their DNA from those people. So it was really popular there. As we've been talking about, hand poking tattoo, which Carly does, is what was predominantly the thing people did. So they used, just like Carly was saying, different forms of it, whether it was with a long stick, a short stick, a little hammer, little baby hammer, different ways they did it, but they used bones, fish bones, teeth or bones, turtle shells, oyster shells, different kinds of stuff, wood to do it. They also saw a lot of, again, what Carly had said, a lot of people using obsidian. We know obsidian was made with arrowheads. Obsidian can be made to be very sharp, so that makes sense. They also use the obsidian to pierce people's skin. That's another thing people did, especially in Papua New Guinea. They've seen it, and some of the other Melanesian islands. And there's some other places that are even older where they saw tattoos being done in those same regions. Some other ethnic groups that use a lot of tattoos are the people of the Anu people of Japan. They're like one of the first ethnic groups that was in Japan. The Berber people, which is of Tamazgha. All right. They're a subgroup of Berber people. Berber people are from Northern Africa, okay? I can't pronounce it. I'll write it in the show notes. Yoruba, Fulani, and Hausa people. And I know, like, my fiance, he's Yoruba, and his grandmother had a tattoo, and it's similar to the, like, almost like the Maori people, like, on her mouth. It was pretty cool. Different Native American groups do it, and then the Welsh people and the Pict people of the Iron Age, and this is in, like, ancient United Kingdom. They also had tattoos. Now, here are some of the oldest tattoos they found in the world. Oh, sorry, my nose is running. Okay, so one of them is in 700 CE. So this is the year 700. They think this was created. And this is in Sudan. There was a mummy there who had the symbol for the archangel Michael on a Sudanese woman. They knew it was the Archangel Michael because of the Greek letters that, like, represented them. And these were also on a bunch of different churches in that area. One theology professor believes that these tattoos were placed on her inner thigh for protection, actually, against sexual violation or to help her have a baby. So one or the other was maybe why she had that tattoo. Then we have this tattoo was created between 1800 and 1350 CE. And this mummy was found in northern Chile. And there were several. So northern Chile and southern Peru. And there were different symbols on these mummies. There were squirrels, there were birds, apes, reptiles, various types of circles. And they believed that a lot of these tattoos were actually made with burned plant materials and then put into the soot and stuff like that. Which makes sense, right? Because you were talking about using the India ink when you started, and people used to make ink out of soot, right?
Yeah, it was all organic materials. The new tattoo ink now is all just like metals and not great stuff. But yeah, it was always like soot and like mineral fibers, like anything that you could combine to make a pigment in with natural fibers.
Yeah. That's amazing because I think I never realized soot was like, you just think it's burned material. You don't think it could do that.
Remember when you were younger, people would accidentally poke themselves with a pencil and graphite would get stuck under there. It's just like that. So it's the same kind of concept. Any kind of organic material that can get trapped under the skin.
Interesting. Okay, that's how it works. Thank you, because I never actually knew how all this worked. Like, I just knew it did. I don't know how. So there, like I said, there was a lot of different birds, apes, reptiles, and all that kind of stuff. And they believe that these circular tattoos on these particular mummies were meant for healing or like strengthening, like a ritual like that. Now we have this mummy, which is called the Princess of Unok. We're going to say Unok. This mummy is from about 500 BCE, found in the Altai Mountains, which is in Russia. And this mummy had several deer style and scroll patterns. A lot with the scroll patterns. Scrolls are also pretty. And there, she had tattoos as well as two men were found alongside of her. And because of some of the tattoos they had and some of the jewelry she had, and she was also buried with a bunch of horses. So they believed that that's why they call her the princess. They believed that she was a princess. And her clothes were like really high quality. So they're like, she must have been either a princess or a high status person. And usually in this particular people that she was probably from, they're called the Pazyurk people, they used to tattoo their nobility. And they used the tattoos because they believed that in the afterlife, their loved ones would be able to find them more easily if they had the tattoos. So they would be able to just identify them, which is a nice idea. Okay, then we have some Egyptian mummy tattoos. A lot of these tattoos are from 1300 to 1070 BCE. So they have different symbols, including lotus blossoms, cows, baboons, and Wadjet eyes, which I know Wadjet is a Egyptian deity, but it's also like an evil eye, like to get away the evil eye kind of thing. So there aren't a ton of Egyptian mummies with tattoos, but most of the tattoos that they do have are just simple dots and lines, and like we don't know what all of those mean. But they also found that some have more elaborate ones, and on this particular female mummy that they found, there was lotus blossoms, cows, baboons, like I said, and her tattoos were on her arms, hips, back, and neck. And they said that, again, it was showing that she was a very important person. She may have been a priestess of some sort, or because they believed that these tattoos also had to do with religious power. All right, then we have a whole bunch of mummies in China. But China's got mad mummies anyway. China's got bad history. Like, it's crazy. I love it. Yeah. So then these mummies were they expand a long time, from about 1800 to 100 BCE. And they were found in the Tarim Basin in China. And their tattoos include crescent moons, ovals, sun, and more scroll patterns. And these were also used, again, like with the hand poke kind of method, similar to some of the other mummies that we were talking about. But the way that they did it, they say that the way they did it, the tattoos ended up much darker than some of these other areas. The female mummy, one of the female mummies they found, had all these ovals and crescent moons, and they were on her face, which suggests that she was maybe a priestess or a devotee of a certain goddess. And the male mummy had sun tattoos on his temples, which represented a male god. So maybe he was a devotee of a male god, or that they were both probably like shamans in their respective groups or areas. Then we have Amentet, which is a tattooed priestess of Hathor. And she lived between 2134 and BCE and 1991 BCE. She had numerous dots and dashes all in one area. So they were all on her abdomen and her lower abdomen, going towards her pubic area. And they believe that this is because she was a priestess. Now, back in these days, sometimes priestesses, and I don't know how accurate this one is, but I know this happened in Mesopotamia. Sometimes the priestesses, especially, they were also sex workers, but that was part of their rituals. That's what they did. So they believe that that's what had they had a lot of had tattoos on their abdomen, because it was also seen as a sensual part of their body. This particular priestess, though, these tattoos were a connection to Hathor, because Hathor is a representation of fertility and childbirth. So they believe that those tattoos were bringing Hathor towards them to protect them during childbirth and anything like that, or maybe protect them from it. I'm not sure. She also has them under her breast and her elbow joints and left shoulder and thighs. Then there's a dude in Peru who had a tattooed mustache. I guess that's the first makeup tattooing. That's cute. He's like, I love having a mustache. I wish I didn't have to draw it in every day. And they're like, don't worry. We'll microblade this for you. So this mummy lived between 2563 BCE and 1972 BCE in northern Chile. He had a bunch of little black dots around his face, which would be where his mustache would have been. And they said maybe he was even 4000 BCE, but then they said that's probably not true. They found a whole bunch of mummies like him who had these facial tattoos. They're not sure why at all. They're just it may have been social status. It may have been they were part of a specific tribe and that was their tribal tattoo. Nobody seems to know with that one. And then we got my man Otzi the Iceman. So Otzi was out here about between 3400 BCE and 3100. Well, that's a lie. 3400 BCE and 3100 BCE. And they call him Otzi because he was found in the Otzal Alps, which is between Austria and Italy. He has 61 tattoos. He has mad tattoos. He has lines all over him, but they believe he is the oldest tattooed mummy in the whole entire world, is this Otzi the Iceman. They believe it's like 1,000 years older than our previous guy that we were just talking with the mustache. He had 61 tattoos on all over his body, including his wrists, his lower back, torso, lower legs, a bunch of lines, a bunch of dots. Nobody knows why, but they're there. So that's some of your oldest tattoos around here. Okay. Woo. So now we'll go to our little story time, which is short today. Because I was like trying to find a story that had to do with tattoos or something, and that was hard, and I couldn't find one. So I started to think tattoos are like talismans, basically, right? I thought of my good sis, Freya, the goddess, a Norse goddess, and she had a very important talisman. And wow, did I not even write the name of it? That's crazy. Wow, I'm nuts out here. I'm gonna find the name of it. Hold on. I'll edit this part out. There we go. So Freya had this necklace, and it's called Brísingamen, I think. I'm not saying it right. Don't worry. So she has this necklace. It was made by trolls, and it's made of amber, and it can do everything basically. Like anybody who gets it, they can do all sorts of stuff. Loki tried to get it one time. She had to help him out with it. Somebody tried to break it. There's a lot of different stories with her necklace. But it's like one of the biggest, other than like Thor's hammer, it's one of the biggest symbols that people know from Norse mythology. So when I thought of that, I was like, you know what, let's just talk about Freya because she's really fucking cool anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a girl crush on Freya. So Freya is super cool. So she has her other two names. She's, like I said, she's a Norse goddess. Her other two names are Valfreya and Freyja. I guess it just depends which part of the world you are and how you pronounce it. So she is a Norse god, but she's part of the Vanir. Now we did an episode like a long time ago at this point when this comes out about Norse gods, and we know there's like different groups. So there is the Vanir, there's the Aesir, who is Odin and his crew, and then the Vanir. The Aesir were like new money gods, and the Vanir are like old money gods. So the Vanir are known for like old magic. They are like the most magical ones, and the new gods are just like out here. Also, quick note, I've thought about this a lot, and I just want everyone to know. Okay, so white supremacists always use Thor's hammer. That's a thing that they do, which to me is hilarious because Thor is the dumbest one. Like, and they talk about it. Not only in the Marvel movies is Thor dumb, but literally in Norse mythology, all they do is make fun of how dumb Thor is. They're like, oh yeah, Thor's an idiot, but he's really strong, so we need him. But that's the only reason. Oh my God. It's hilarious to me that white supremacists are like, yeah, Thor's hammer. I'm like, you guys, he's the stupidest person. They're just constantly making fun of him. Every time Thor has to come around, all he can do is punch through stuff and get his hammer and break shit. But then after that, they don't really need him because whenever he has a thought, they're like, no, Thor, we're not doing that.
No critical thought.
Exactly, no. He just says dumb shit, and then everyone just looks at him like Thor. And that's why he's so easily tricked. Loki tricks him all the time because he's dumb. And even Odin, because Loki, stop tricking Thor. He's stupid. Loki's, I know, but that's why it's so fun. He's so stupid. He's just a dumb jock. And yeah, and white supremacists keep on keeping on. If that's who you want to be here, I don't blame you. I mean, you guys are all dumb too, so it's not a problem. You want your dumb racist anthem to be Thor? Okay, but even Thor, I think, probably is. I really didn't ask for that, but okay. I didn't endorse that. Oh, okay. That's my side note about Thor. I had to get that out. Anyway, back to Freya. So Freya, yes, she's part of the Vanir, so they're like the older gods. So the other thing about the Vanir and the Aesir is the Vanir and the Aesir were fighting for a long time. They didn't like each other, but then they had to like have a truce and be friends. So that's when Odin married Frigg, who gets mixed up with Freya a lot because in some traditions, Freya and Frigg are the same person. But in the Norse and more Scandinavian countries, they're two different people. But if you look at the Germanic texts, they're the same. But anyway, we're going to talk about them as two different people. Odin married Frigg as like a peaceful thing, so that there was peace between the Vanir and the Aesir. And then Freya also ended up going to live with the Aesir as almost like a hostage, but it was like to bring peace. So she went there. And I think her twin brother Freyr went there too. I can't remember, but I think so. So she's out there living with the Aesir, whatever. So she goes out there and she teaches them all how to do magic and make potions. That's like her job. And she's really fucking good at it. So she's also the god of love, sex, fertility, witchcraft, war, magic, glory, pleasure, and death. She's a goddess of a lot of shit. I don't know how she keeps track of it all. She must have a really good system because this was just a lot. So she's the daughter of Njord and Herta, and that is the sea and the earth. She's invoked for love a lot of the time. Oh, she's also the goddess of like cats. Like she's a cat. She always has a cat. So hey, if you like cats, Carly has a cat. Cats are fine. I don't like cats, but don't tell anybody. There's only ever been one cat. Here's the thing about cats. It depends on the cat, because there's only ever been one cat in my life that like, it was my ex-boyfriend's roommate's cat who was like cool and he loved boxes. I heard that's a thing that cats like. I don't know if your cat likes boxes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He loved a box. If he was in a box, he would just be in there for an hour, just changing positions in the box. And he was cute. But I'm also allergic to some cats. That's part of the reason I think I don't like cats, because I never know if I'm going to die or I'm going to be fine. So, yeah, that's that. So it's fine. Yeah, but nothing against every cat. Not all cats are bad. And they're very, like, sacred animals, which is really cool about cats. I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to rephrase my thinking about cats. I don't dislike cats. Cats are fine. I just dislike being allergic to cats. That's what I'm going to start saying, because I'm not being fair to cats. Yeah, not all cats.
You might, maybe one day they do like hypoallergenic cats now. That's a thing.
And they're not like, you know what it is? So my sister has a dog and she's the cutest thing that ever happened to life. And dogs are like social, and cats are just like weary of people. And
cats are like an apathetic roommate, and then dogs are just like, it's like golden retriever energy. They're like, it's totally different. It's totally different than a cat. Yeah. They want to be your best friend and they want to be around you all the time. And cats could care less as long as it's full.
Cats will be like, hey, how are you? And they'll see you for 2 seconds. I'm like, that's all the social interaction I need for today.
They have very good boundaries. If you want to learn boundaries, get a cat.
And I'm like, you know what? That's okay. Sometimes I feel like that. I need to start being nicer to cats. I'm gonna start today. Because I need to give them a little slack. Yeah, so also Freya loves cats. So if you like Freya, get a cat statue. She's all about it. Or get a cat. There's tons of cats that you can adopt who are very cute. I'm not gonna lie. Cats can be very cute. Okay. So she also is invoked when people are, I said she's like the goddess of death too. There are different places. Now, everybody knows Norse mythology. People think of the afterlife. They think of Valhalla because victory of Valhalla. That's like the thing people say. But there's also other areas that are just like for other people. So what Freya tends to do sometimes, and that's why she's sometimes called Valfreya, is she's in charge of all those Valkyries. You know, the ladies with the horn and the pigtails and the braids who are like, oh, those guys, they come and they pick up like half of the dead soldiers and they bring them to Folkvang, which is a beautiful field place where everybody's happy forever. And that's like her area that she controls of the afterlife. And like I said, the other area is Valhalla, and Valhalla is literally a big hall where everyone's just drinking and banging and laughing, which is also great. Both of them sound fun. You know, so one or the other. It's going to be fun. So she was traditionally worshipped in Scandinavia, Iceland, Greenland, all the different Germanic areas, Holland, and Anglo-Saxon Britain. She was one of the most popular pagan goddesses and one of the hardest to get rid of. Like we did talk about Frau Berchta before, how she was universally loved among Germanic people. So was Freya. And to this day, I mean, there's a big resurgence in Norse mythology, but she was hard to get rid of. People really liked her. So they were like, oh God, we wish people would stop worshiping her, but they keep doing it. There's cats everywhere. They couldn't make it stop. But whatever, it's fine. Freya's great. So she cries tears of amber, which is cool. Like I said, her necklace is made of amber. Honey contains her essence, which also makes sense because some people relate honey to amber because it looks similar. She literally knows the power of the runes, and she's the one who have said to teach Odin how to read the runes. Her people that love her are soldiers, veterans, jewelers, seers, oracles, and prophets, and all different types of magical practitioners. Her day is Friday. Again, people get Frigg and Freya, so it could literally mean, it could be either Frigg or Freya for Friday. And any 13th, and her sacred number is 13. So her sacred days are any time it's Friday the 13th is like a sacred day for Freya. Okay. So that's what I wanted to tell you all about Freya. I'm going to include a link to the podcast Mythology that tells a really good story about Freya and her brother. It was really long, so I didn't want to tell that story, but you guys listen to that story because it's pretty good. Okay. And now that brings us to the end of this podcast. Oh, geez. Carly, thank you so much for being here. This was a kind of, I had a good time.
Me too. I feel like I learned. I loved all of that.
Oh,
and
good.
Also, just a little anecdote on the Freya thing about her 13. They do marathon tattoo sales on Friday the 13th. So I love that.
Oh.
Yeah. So what a cute little pick for that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
See, I'm saying sometimes it really does. There's always something. Sometimes I'll pick something and I'll be like, man, I'm really stretching with the connection here, but here we go. Yeah. It all worked out, and that's what we love. Yay! But Carly, can you let us know where we can find you, like on the internet, and like where your tattoos are, and like if people want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, my website is just rosemarync.com. My Instagram is at rosemarync.handpoke. That's where I'm most active. And yeah, I pop up all over the Hudson Valley. I do a lot of events. I do a lot of flash sales. And then I work in Goshen by appointment. So yeah, absolutely. Any of those is fine. Email, text, Instagram, DM.
Yay! And of course, we'll have all of Carly's links in the show notes. So if you guys want to check out her work, if you want to get in contact with her to do your tattoo, it'll be easy to find her. Okay, so like I said, unfortunately, it comes to the end of the show. And you know what you're listening to, but I'll remind you, this is Dine with the Divine, and we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Threads, we're on YouTube. And if you like this show, please pause and give us a rating, and that can be on YouTube, it could be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't. And if you have any suggestions, questions, comments, or anything like that for the pod, please feel free to email me at dinewiththedivinepod@gmail.com. And if you want to follow me, Ashley, I'm Sankofa HS. It's SANKOFAHS, and Sankofa Healing Sanctuary on Facebook and some of the other platforms. So thank you so much for being here again, Carly. I really appreciate your time. And thank you, everybody else. And I'll see you all next week. Bye.